Have you ever just wanted to have a relaxing time playing a game? Maybe just casually swimming around the ocean as a happy-go-lucky dolphin, eating fish, and jumping through the waves. Well then, Ecco the Dolphin is probably the perfect game for you. Wrong. Welcome to the Nightmare Zone. Sure, get to swim around, eat fish, fight sharks, use your super sonar to find stuff. You also apparently get a chance to save the Earth as a dolphin. But get ready for a new layer of difficulty, like lean forward with a controller and buckle up for pain and frustration difficulty. Because Ecco the Dolphin ranks as one of the hardest games on Sega Genesis and in the top chunk of hardest games all time. Why? Or even how, you might ask, could a game about a dolphin be so difficult? Well, not to spoil the lead here, you're no ordinary dolphin. And you're on no ordinary mission. And that evil queen is going to be in for it, should you find a way to beat the 27 or so levels it takes to get there. Ugh. So, find your happy place, take some deep breaths, and get ready for Ecco the Dolphin.
Retro Recall.
Welcome back to Retro Recall, the show with more nostalgia than the amount of pain I felt trying to understand the plot of a time-traveling dolphin that fights aliens. John, what are we talking about today?
All right. Deep breaths. Deep breaths. Today we did Ecco the Dolphin.
This is not Mario. We've gone a long distance from Mario.
We have moved on. This game plagued me as a child. And now I got a second shot at it as an adult, and it was just as hard as I remembered. Oh, beautiful God. Game, great gameplay, but impossible. Like truly impossible to beat. So we're going to get into what the game is, why it was so hard and so rough, and a double for you all, what it was like for me going back and playing it again, and Tom playing it for the first time.
Yeah. You were the Sega Genesis guy. I played this at like a friend's house for just a little bit to be like, wow, look how the dolphin swims. He can jump out of the water. I was like, that's cool.
You never had to try and beat it.
No.
Yeah. Oh.
All right. Well, let's go back to, this is 1992.
Yeah, it's December of 1992. I couldn't even find the actual date of release. I just got December 1992, which is good enough.
Sure.
Game's interesting. There was actually a lot of buzz around it at its release. The people were excited about this dolphin game. I can't explain why, but they were. And I think it probably had to do with more some of the graphics that were potentially coming out.
Yeah.
So it was, and we're going to call it decently successful. It sold 500,000 copies, which I know in modern day gaming doesn't seem like very much, but in 1992 for a game, remember, this was only on Sega Genesis, so you only had one console to sell on.
Right.
500,000 copies means a decent percentage of the people who owned a Sega Genesis time bought this game.
Right. And the actual, it was mostly one guy, right?
Yeah. I mean, he had a team, but he's the one who designed almost the entire thing.
Right. So small team, one main dude, the budget behind that really isn't what video game budgets are today.
Oh yeah. They made good money on this. And the game came out. Reviews were mostly high. Everyone agreed the visuals and the gameplay were incredible. But unlike the Battletoads, where we covered that one, where the reviewers just skipped over the kind of elephant in the room. No, right. The reviewers called this game out. This is hard, really hard.
Yeah,
and we're getting
and confusing, hard. And it's difficult.
It makes no sense.
Yeah, to me, it makes no sense in multiple ways, multiple levels. But there's definitely this aspect of just, what am I even doing? What is even going on? Okay. But let's reminisce about music and movies a little bit before we get into the details.
Because again, we're in 1992. So this is actually one of the funnier ones we have on music and movies. So first off, number one song in the world is I Will Always Love You by Whitney Houston, which, as Lawrence Taylor said in The Waterboy, don't smoke crack.
Okay.
And that went out there. Oh. 1992, though, really good year for, we'll call it John music. We get White Trash, Two Hebes and a Bean. We get
No Effects. For people who don't know, you have to call out the
fine.
bands.
No Effects. Ignition, which is the first album by Offspring. So this one was on a label. The next one is Smash, which does still hold the record for largest independent release of all time. Then you have Don't Turn Away, which is by
Face to Face?
Yes, Face to Face. And then Duh from Lagwagon. On the heavy metal side, we get the debut of Rage Against the Machine, which I think is an album all of us owned. Yeah, I don't know anyone who didn't own that album. You get Vulgar Display of Power by Pantera, and one of truly an inspirational album by Ministry, Psalm 69, which is Ministry open up a whole new genre with this album. So
I mean, they went way more electronic than metal had ever been.
And I'll be honest, Al Jorgensen is a crazy person, an insane level of crazy person. One of the albums he made recently was he just tried to make the highest beats per minute album in history. By the way, it did not sound very good, but I appreciate the effort. Yeah,
right.
I mean, he's open about like drinking wine and taking crystal meth and then writing music. So you're going to get what you're going to get sometimes. All right.
Yep.
Funny thing though to me is that we're in December. December movies are almost always garbage. December movies are like, look, you're stuck with your family. You're going to go see these movies.
Right.
We didn't have that. December 1992 some of these films came out in November, don't get me wrong, but this is a crazy list of movies. So we have Aladdin. Mm-hmm. I'm not a Disney person, but I can respect Aladdin. Aladdin, absolutely good. Home Alone 2, which is actually still a pretty good Home Alone.
Right.
A Few Good Men. Mm-hmm. Absolutely blockbuster level of acting. The Bodyguard, so back to Whitney Houston, which is why that song was so popular, but still pretty movie. Muppet Christmas Carol, which again, I think for our generation, that one probably hits for most of us. We've all seen it.
You can't hate the Muppets. It's the Muppets.
Muppet's Christmas Carol is great. Distinguished Gentleman, which is Eddie Murphy. Pretty funny. Not one of his best, pretty funny. Malcolm X, which is really good. And then a very funny film, which is hitting really hard currently. Toys. And if you're not aware of what Toys is.
Right. Robin Williams. Yes. And it was weird.
It's a very strange film, but the story is the owner of a toy factory starts trying to make weapons for the government. Basically turning his toys into drones. Let's call them what they are. They were automated killing machines, and the factory workers try to stop him. Go watch Toys, guys, and have a really terrifying moment of, oh God, they predicted the future. So, but that's not, so 1992, kind of a cool year. What I like about this is that this is a year of creativity, and this is going to lead us into Echo in a second. So we're talking about a lot of some of the more iconic music, especially on the independent side is coming out. Both metal and punk.
Culture was shifting. This was a big formative year.
Exactly.
We were firmly moving from the 80s into the 90s.
Yeah, and even those movies I listed there were pushing some boundaries with the way that they did stuff. These were not your generic 80s films anymore. So we're seeing, like, Malcolm X is a really well done film, actually.
Yeah.
You're getting a lot of Toys is crazy. This is the era we get into. So creativity in the early 90s really was kind of booming. So that's how we get to a dolphin game. And to say that Ecco the Dolphin is weird is basically saying John Waters makes eclectic films. No. Ecco the Dolphin is out of its mind.
Right. Well, here, this is a little experiment to do. Is if you're somebody who hasn't played the game, and I told you there's a game called Ecco the Dolphin, and you're like, oh, a dolphin game. And what do? Well, you play as a dolphin. You probably assume some basic things like you're swimming around under the water. Mm-hmm. Maybe you're trying to catch fish and you're trying to eat fish, and maybe you're trying to visit the other sea life.
Also
and maybe
in the game.
Right. And maybe it's all about being a dolphin in the water and doing dolphin things. Sure. That was my assumption.
Yeah. That's why I didn't tell you ahead of time what you were getting into.
That's not what the rest of this game is.
I was so excited for Tom's great reveal of, wait, what?
This is
so... Wait. This game, all right, let's go through just a little bit of background. So it's created by a guy named Ed Annunziata. Annunziata, he was a developer. He worked on a lot of the Sega games. He was part of Spider-Man, which was another very good Genesis game. Both the X-Men games were very good. The Jurassic Park game. These were very good games. They were hits. For whatever reason, Annunziata had this desire to make this Dolphin game, and he planned on it for a while. And because he'd been part of so many hits, he was given his chance. And I'm just going to go ahead and give away the plot to this game.
Well, I've already hinted at the beginning, but
spoiler alert, guys.
Take us down the rabbit hole.
Get ready, because this game, first off, I don't mind spoiling this because none of you are going to play this game and get to the end unless you're going to cheat like crazy, because this game is hard. But anyway, the story is you're a dolphin hanging out with your pod, and one day you get sucked up into the sky, at least your whole pod does. Then you go on an adventure to figure out where your pod is, and on your journey you meet orcas, you meet a blue whale, and the blue whale sends you this thing that looks like a genetic code spinning around a circle called the asteroid. That part's just the beginning of the weird. Then the asteroid explains to you that your pod was abducted by evil aliens. Aliens who are harvesting all life on Earth, which explains why there's no people in the entire game. And the only way to stop them is to go to Atlantis, which I guess exists, and time
in
travel.
The past.
And then because inside of Atlantis, there's a time travel device. So you use that to travel back in time to gain powers, to come back to current time, to power yourself up so that you can then get abducted with your pod to the alien planet, where you then go and fight the alien queen, defeat her, and then get teleported back to Earth. By the way, the alien planet is in another star system.
Right.
That's the plot of the game.
That's it. And the aliens... I just have to point this out for people. The aliens look like H.R. Geiger aliens.
Oh, yeah. That's a fun part about chasing it the second last
level. They're not like funny little green men. They're not like weird blobs or something like that. They are like xenomorphs. Yeah.
It is amazing. And the best part about this game is you have no idea that's coming until there ends up being about 27, 20, I forget, 28. It's a lot of levels. And you don't figure out like level 10 where you're like, wait, what's happening? And then it's just like, fine, I'm all in. So, but the reason we're covering this game today is not because of its incredible plot. It's because of the nightmarish level of difficulty this game is. Holy, this game's hard.
Yes.
I cannot.
We need a name for this month, this series of games that we're doing this month.
Pain. It's just
like the month of pain.
These ones get rough, man. But this one, now what I will respect though is Annunziata was interviewed and he explained this isn't, so Battletoads, we covered Battletoads. Battletoads was hard kind of by accident. Battletoads did this thing, I call it the Jurassic Park, where they did something because they could, not because they should.
Right.
With Battletoads, they were just making levels and doing stuff.
It's almost like they just didn't play test it and balance it enough.
Yeah, that's all it was.
That's kind of what it feels like.
This game was intentional. Annunziata was convinced that his game would just be rented and not owned. So he made it impossible to defeat over a weekend. That was his plan. His idea was you will never beat this game unless you put in a lot of hours into it. So he built it with that in mind. And I'll be honest, he's right. There are some levels here you could throw 5 hours into and you will, and maybe then you defeat it.
Right. And it's not in a Battletoads sort of way. It's not like you're going faster down a corridor and you have to time your jumps. It's more like you're stuck underwater and you run out of breath because you don't know where to go next. And you get like stuck down the wrong path.
Sonar to figure out where you are. I mean,
that kind of thing. Yeah.
Again, this game came out. There was no internet. So today, and we're going to talk about it in a second, I could play the game with maps up, which did help a lot. So, but yeah, let's talk about it. Let's talk about
let's get into it. So there are some positive things, right? There are some things to like about this. Yeah. You already mentioned a little bit about it, but let's get into that.
Yeah. So again, as I said before, this is the first time back. So for me, I owned this game. I haven't played it in well over 30 years. I mean, probably be 33, 34 years. And this game is impossible, but I will say it's like the worst kind of impossible because you really can play it forever and lose forever. You get a code at the end of each level, so you can always just restart right back where you were.
Right. And you don't run out of lives. It's not like there's a limit of
Yeah.
life. So I would put that in the positive list of things. So,
But you can, and every time you lose, you're usually pretty close to not losing. So you go back over and over and over again. So I'll cover a lot of this in the good and the bad. But Tom, what did you think about playing this game?
well, okay. We've been sending things back and forth. I know you rage quit a few times on this.
7 times.
So far. Seven times. Rage quit.
Yeah, 7 times.
I gave it a few real good tries.
5 or 7. It was 5 or 7. It was a lot. It hurt.
I didn't get to 7, but I gave it a few good tries. And my first try, I got like 3 levels in, and I sent you a note. I sent you a message on Discord. I said, after making my way through the first 2 areas of Ecco, feeling somehow both confused and bored, I made it to the Undercaves, which is the third little zone you go in. I wasn't allowed past a giant crystal, which you haven't mentioned yet. There are giant crystals, which are also obtuse. They don't seem to make any sense until you realize you have to like...
There's 2 giant crystals. You have to go to the one to get the
you have to go to one,
knock down the other one.
Right, but they're the same color, and it doesn't tell you. You have to. One just says you can't go past it yet, and then you go to the other one, and then little lines go around you, which means that you now have the power to go move the other crystal again. But it doesn't tell you that.
Obviously, why? Is this so confusing?
Right. So I wasn't allowed past a giant crystal, and then the current, the actual flow of the water, pulled me into the geometry. I actually glitched into the wall and got stuck.
Yeah. And then you drowned.
And when I went back and played later, I didn't hit any glitches. The rest of it was fine. It was still just very difficult. But I said 10 out of 10 games so far.
Yeah.
That was my first experience with it. But here, let's get into, you've talked, there are some good things, right?
There's actually a lot of good. So this is a game, when I say I played it a lot, I'm not that stubborn. I will walk away from something. And I didn't walk away from this game. The main reason I never walked away from this game when I played as a kid. Now, I never beat it as a kid. But when I tried was, the game, first off, it is stunning. It looks so good. Yeah. This was one of the games that really did show off the difference between Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis. When we talked last week about Super Mario World, Super Mario World is very visually stunning. Same with Zelda. But it is that Nintendo style. The palette doesn't feel very deep or real. This game looks beautiful.
Well, okay, so the difference here is that you're going from like a very childlike game with very cartoon and high saturated colors to something that's more muted. And even the dolphins, the whale, the undersea things are all modeled semi-realistically. Their proportions are correct. They're not cartoons.
It looks great. The backgrounds of the game look great. There's just little crap everywhere. Little ammonites, that kind of stuff. They look amazing. This game is gorgeous.
Little fish swimming around, jellyfish.
For when it was, it looks great. Also, and it's something we talk about a lot, the gameplay is very good. You have very good responsiveness. Once you get it down, it takes a little bit of time to get some of your aiming down. Once you get down, you realize the controls are very reliable. You don't miss jumps. You don't miss one of your abilities is to attack with your snout. You just go quickly with your snout,
right?
Firing your sonar. They are pretty responsive on the controller. It's a well-made.
For the most part. It does take a little bit getting used to. But
what I like
for the most part.
The game also, as you're playing through, you don't get that bad Battletoads moment where you have a millisecond to respond to something.
Right.
It is again built in a way that you can get quite good at this game. Just that it scales with you. Another big one is the gameplay itself is fun. The way that you move around, charging into stuff, your sonar, all these things, even just jumping out of the water to make your jumps. It's cool.
It's very fluid. It's kind of very flowy, and I can see why people would want to just play the first level and just swim around. Because it's got that chill, relaxed kind of movement thing, and then the rest of the game gets more dangerous.
On that note, even the music's pretty good. I do like it. I think the music was well done. Now, the gameplay is one thing. The plot, though, is kind of almost in the good, and it's in the bad. Because it is... the best thing I have is... It's Contra, but you're a dolphin.
Right, because they're fighting the aliens thing.
That's what this... It is wild.
Yeah.
But it's both good and bad, because the bad is like, just what the hell's wrong with you? But the good is also, what the hell's wrong with this? It's kind of one of those weird ones.
Right. Yeah. Anytime, and I think that's something we've learned, is anytime things get super weird, it can either be real good or real bad, just depending on if you like that kind of weird.
Yeah, it is. This is one of those things that it's more, I think this plot, with a human character would have been a lame game. But because it's a dolphin, you're like, wait, a dolphin's fighting aliens that can travel the universe and look like the alien from... Also, why are they aquatic? Oh, whatever. Who cares?
Yeah, why is the alien spaceship has water in it somehow?
Yeah, that I can swim.
What's going on with that?
I can't figure it out. But what else, Tom? What did you like about the game?
Okay, so as a first time playing this, you're right. The graphics and the movement, I talked about how the graphics are proportioned well. Everything looks like it's designed to be realistic on a 16-bit console for the limitations of that system, which is cool. There's not a ton of games before that. Most of the games we think about in this period are more in the cartoony side. Yeah, absolutely. The movement to me did take some getting used to. There are moments where you get stuck in stuff, but that's going to be in my bad section. But mostly that's just down to me being a first-time player, I think. I'm just not used to it. Also, some of the other details, like the size of the blue whale, like the fact that you have a sprite on the screen that spans multiple screens, left to right, is pretty amazing. And I think that the music and sounds are good too, but in like this unsettling way, which feels very intentional.
Yeah, the music's cool. I like it. Because there's some happy music, but it's still got like an undertone to it. And then there's some dark music where you're like, oh, okay, stuff's about to go down. Yeah.
Right. And I also like the idea that we're just not saving a princess again. There is creativity around this idea of, okay, let's do something different. Let's kind of push in a new direction.
Oh, this is different. Oh, they checked every box of different.
Yep. All right.
There's
so the bad stuff. All right. You go first.
Open up with this game is hard. Like, go screw yourself hard. And like Battletoads, it ramps fast. My first rage quit was level 3.
Yeah, that's where I got to.
Because there's a middle section where you have to push a rock. So when you have a current going up, you push a rock and the rock will sink and you basically swim behind the rock to break the current, right? Makes sense. But when it goes down, it will go down all the way to the left. You have to then go to the right, but the current's so strong that won't work. So you have to figure out a way to swim down into the current and knock it to the right just a little bit so it lands a bit to the right. This is not easy. It's not only, I should do that. I knew I had to do that. I had a walkthrough up, and I still had to rage quit after maybe 30 minutes of trying and say, nope, I'm done. I have to walk away. That was level 3. But then I went back later because, again, this game has codes, level skip codes. So
you just load back level 3, so just do it again.
I did it again. So next one, and I made it right after. I got through a couple more levels, and I got to an area called the Open Ocean. And the Open Ocean is a level where you just go to the right. It's a side scroll, and it's full of sharks. They bite at you, and then you die. And the length, it's something we had in Battletoads a couple of these times, the length of this episode is just obtuse.
Yeah, I had to look this up. Did you? Yeah. I don't know if you maybe already know this, but if you go all the way down to the bottom, the very bottom of the water, the sharks can't get you, and then you just swim as fast as you can across the very bottom of the stage, and then you'll make it.
You gotta not run out of air though.
Right, and then you gotta go back up. Yeah, but like,
and then the sharks are all there. Yeah,
right. But then you don't have to fight the sharks the whole time, which makes it easier.
Yeah, that was, and so I quit that one, but it's okay. I then decide, screw this, I'm game sharking. I knew what was coming now, because I've beaten this far before as a kid, and I know what's coming. So I'm like, all right, you know what? I'm 44 years old. I'm going to beat this game. I'm not going to go to YouTube and see how it ends. I'm going to beat this game. So I make myself invincible, and I give myself unlimited air, because that's all I should need, right?
Hey.
Nope. I made it 2 more levels. 2 more levels where I had to rage quit again, because I got to an area called hard water. And in hard water, there are these ice cubes that move side to side at like a speed I cannot express. The timing of these is so hard. And so they kept killing me. And eventually, again, John had to go for a walk. You just need to take a walk because, again, I'm not losing again. I've had 32, 33 years rest. I'm not going down. Oh. Anyway, so I go for my walk. I may have made a cocktail, and I grab the controller.
That's going to help with your coordination for sure.
But I grab the controller. I change my posture. I lean forward. All right, we're doing this. All right. And I grab
typical John fashion. This is serious now.
Yeah. Yes. I get all my level maps up. We're doing this. And I did well. Despite a lot of anger and a lot of frustration, I got through 16 levels. Took me maybe an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours. I get through 16 levels because this game has 26 levels to it. Yeah. Some of them actually repeat. And then I got to...
You go back in time, too.
You go back in time and then have to go back into the place to go back in time to go forward in time. Long story. Then I get to what is probably the most... It's actually not the most famous because no one ever got there. But for people who got to this point, it's the second to last level. It's called Welcome to the Machine. And my dream of defeating this game ended because I had a map. I knew exactly, it's a side scroll, but like you run out of space side scroll. So it's one of those really brutal ones. And after probably an hour, I just had to accept, all right, I'll go to YouTube and see what the ending is because I'm going to find out.
Hey man, join the club. Join the YouTube club because I definitely didn't finish this.
Could not. So this game defeated me. I will be honest. Well, it's my only real complaint. I have a second complaint. Aside from the difficulty of the game, that's my only main complaint, except for one other complaint. And I'm going to split some hairs here, but people who listen to me on the 40K Lorecast know I do this from time to time. I get really mad when people do stuff and don't look stuff up. So
right.
In the game,
like when movies get physics wrong or somebody gets history details wrong.
I don't mind when you get physics wrong. I mind when you pretend you're getting physics right and then get it wrong.
Yeah.
That's what breaks me.
Right.
In the game, at one point, you have to go back 55 million years, thanks to the time traveling at Atlantis. And when you're there, there's a pteranodon that flies you around, right? So it's like a pteranodon's a type of pterodactyl.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a flying dinosaur.
Here's the problem. The meteor that hit the Earth was 66 million years ago. So somehow this pteranodon was really resilient because it lived 11 million years after the extinction of the dinosaurs.
Right.
But at that same time, and I even looked up like, again, sorry, my kid likes dinosaurs, and actually I do too, so screw everybody. These things are fun. The fish that are, so you have sharks when you're in the modern era. When you go back, there's this other fish, there's another fish there. And I thought, that kind of looks like a Dunkleosteus. Is it a Dunkleosteus? And I looked it up. It is a Dunkleosteus. Here's the problem. The Dunkleosteus went extinct 358 million years ago.
Yeah.
These are things that were available in information in 1991, which I assume they wrote the game. They could have looked it up.
As a game designer, they just look cool. So let's just put them in the game.
I know, but the thing is, like, was
that's
it
the excuse.
Offhand? They were like Dunkleosteus. There were sharks in the late. Like, first off, you could during the Cretaceous period. There's a lot of things they could have done. It's a splitting hairs thing, but it was bothering me. I'm like, is that it? It's also a trilobite. Like, there's a bunch of stuff.
The trilobites. Yes.
Everything about this has, they just got every year wrong. First of all, again, but 55 million years, I think we might have been going into an ice age.
I mean, Atlantis is also real in this game. So there is that too.
I don't mind that. You just say, oh, you have to go to Atlantis and time travel. Cool.
Now it's just a fantasy, right?
Exactly.
It's just a fantasy.
Good.
Yeah. Yeah.
But when you say 55 million years, why did this fantasy, are the dinosaurs still alive?
Yeah, just pick a different year, maybe. Yeah.
66. At 11. That's all I do. All right.
Yeah. Yep.
But my main point still stands. The issue with this game is it's just too goddamn hard.
Yes.
That's what it is. Plot's wild. How about you, Tom?
Yeah, so I bounced off it. Like? When I sent you that first note, I had to also take a walk. I was like, okay. I put my controller down and I'm like, I'm stuck in a wall. This is that's not why this game is hard, though. Supposedly, it's not because of the bugs. That must have been just like odd. So I came back later, tried it again, pulled up a playthrough, watched a little bit, and I was like, oh, and I realized that's what the gems do and some other things. So first of all, I thought the sonar was just going to be your attack, and the dash was only for movement. And then I watched a guy attack a jellyfish with his dash. And I was like, what? No. Okay. And the reason I didn't realize that is because sometimes the dash isn't an attack if it hits too late in the dash. All of a sudden, it doesn't attack anymore. Or if you just slightly don't hit the beak, like the front nose of the dolphin.
Right to this.
Yeah. So it's limited. So I was like, okay, so sometimes the dash works on things. Sometimes the sonar works on things. Just try them both, right? So I figured that part out. Overall, the movement feels good, but there were definitely some tight areas, which you end up in a lot in the early parts of the game and also later in the game, where you just run into a wall because you're not piloting your little guy very well, and you get stuck and you have to turn around, and you get slow and something chases you and then gets you. That happens a lot. Also, similar to my Sonic critique, it's fun to go fast in this because the dashes work really good. You can also jump out of the water. And if you go down and then come back up, you jump even higher out of the water. The game is telling you at every point, going fast is fun, go fast. But then it slows you down. Every time you're in a place where you're like, oh, I can go fast now. The game's like, nope, you shouldn't have jumped out of that part of the water because now you hit some spiky things on the ceiling of the cave that you were in or whatever. And it's like, come on, just let me swim around. I'm a dolphin. So what's the deal with that? Also, I had no idea what to make of the giant crystals, but then I watched the video, I figured it out. You have to get a power from one and then you use it to move the second. And that becomes kind of a thing.
Because when we did Super Mario 2, when I was going to the bosses, I'm like, and your response was, well, I beat all these sometimes as a kid.
Right.
That's weird.
Right.
And that's the one thing I didn't even realize was just in my memory. Like, oh yeah, I hit the other crystal, then I poke the crystal, then it powers me up, and then I knock out the other crystal.
Right. The only hint you get is the second crystal you're supposed to move. It tells you if you send your sonar, it's like, you can't move this yet. And it's like, okay, so what does that mean? I can't do it yet.
It gives the lame thou shalt not pass.
Right. And it really could just have said, get the power from the first crystal and come back or something like that. But it doesn't give you that, right?
Meh.
Yeah. So here's another one. The game basically devolves into looking where to go / air to breathe / the next crystal / how to get past rocks or whatever. That is the loop of the game is you get into an area, you swim around, you take a look at stuff and you go, okay, I think I need to go here. I don't really know. How do I make that happen? And then it's just trial and error until eventually you do it. But to its benefit, you don't run out of lives and you can use a code to go back later. So at least that works.
That's one of the nice things is the game does let you do the trial and error. It's not the same pressure you get in other games where when you're trying to do trial and error, you have this, I only get 4 attempts or else I got to go all the way back 7 levels. It's like, all right.
Like Battletoads. Yes.
Yeah, because the levels aren't long. What I will say is when you beat a level, some of them are a few minutes. Others, when you beat them, are a few minutes, but the act of getting to the beating them might be an hour.
Yeah, because you just have to poke around long enough to figure out what to do in what order and where to go and all of that, right? It's weird. You got time traveling and aliens and Atlantis and dinosaurs and a spaceship. It's like they just put everything that every little kid had for toys in a game. And they're like, here, do all this stuff. Also, I had to look up the final boss fight. And that's where I realized, we're actually going to the alien ship. And you have to fight the queen, and it's a giant H.R. Geiger alien head.
I'm going to correct you. You're not in the alien ship. You're on the alien planet. So this is a planet in a different galaxy that once every 500 years has a clear shot at Earth. And then it shoots a tractor beam at Earth and sucks up as much life as it can. And over time, it's going to eventually suck all the life out of Earth and eat all of it.
Once every 500 years. It's like
that's the plot.
Are there clouds in the way? What in space is blocking the path? Oh, there's just too many other planets that just get in the
planets and stuff.
Does
it make sense?
Weird.
No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't. But I had to correct you because we may get an Ecco the Dolphin.
Oh, no.
Who
I'm
will
sure
come
we will.
in here and say, Tom, it wasn't a spaceship. It was a planet. So that's what I'm here for.
I made assumptions. Forgive me. I had to scrub to the end of the playthrough video and be like, okay, what happens past the point I was at? So there's that. But for the most part, I just spent a lot of time just swimming around, not really sure what to do. Yeah. And then just trying to figure it out until I got frustrated and then had to look something up and then I had to do it again. But yeah, it was hard. But here, I have some fun facts about this game. This game So there's debates about the inspiration of Ecco the Dolphin, right? This is the craziest part, is that the game was probably inspired by John C. Lilly's research into communications between dolphins and humans in the 1960s. Now, this was the man who designed the sensory deprivation chamber. So that gives you a sense of the kind of research he was doing. Yeah. And I'm going to drop some little details here, but go look these things up if you want to. I'm not going to go into super detail, but his team flooded a house in the Virgin Islands and lived with dolphins to study their communication. And let's just say they went a little too far because they gave them LSD, which also didn't seem to have an effect on dolphins.
It was the 60s. The 60s was a weird thing with LSD. There were this was a thing that people were doing. They were experimenting. What if we give LSD to insert whatever here?
Right.
And
dogs,
then later,
pigs,
every
monkeys.
time we're like, that was a terrible idea. The monkey one was funny because it turns out they forgot how strong monkeys get. And then giving them something that makes them, there's some stories about that. That didn't go well.
Yeah, so that was part of it, but also the team did some other things like meeting the dolphin's needs in ways that were disturbing. We'll just leave that there, but you can look that up more if you want. Now, the actual documentary is called John Lilly and the Earth Coincidence Control Office. The Earth Coincidence Control Office was a term he used in his research. That can be reduced to ECCO, E-C-C-O, echolocation, the Latin origins of echolocation. So were both of these inspirations for the name? Is it just one or the other?
Yeah, the one I always thought it was, as you guys can tell from my last name, I'm also Italian. Annunziata, in Italian, you wouldn't say echo, it's ecco. And so it's E-C-C-O, so it's ecco. And so that's what it would be, Ecco the Dolphin. Sounds cooler, by the way. But that's that. I always assumed it was Ecco the Dolphin. Then someone's like, it's Echo. I was a little kid, and I was like, oh, yeah, I'll pronounce it correctly then. My bad. Yeah. Sorry for pronouncing it phonetically in Latin. But anyway.
That's fine. Also, this reminds me of the episode of The Simpsons when the Dolphins take over Springfield. Do you remember that?
Yes,
that's a classic. So I have to wonder if that was inspired by the research as well. Yeah. But he did. So Ed Annunziata, however you pronounce that, did mention publicly that this was some of the inspiration, but then he kind of pulled back on that once he got some negative pushback publicly.
He probably didn't. Yeah, this is gonna be the early 90s. This we don't have Wikipedia, so he probably heard about the good things from the study, and then someone was like, "Do you know about all this other stuff they did?" And he went, "Oh,
yeah." So make of that what you will.
To do with me,
right? Yeah. So. Yeah, but you can look into that more if you want. It's totally not about the game as much as it is about like behind the game and other weird stuff. So there you go.
These were weird. Yeah.
Okay, so what's our conclusion? What do you think? Should people play this? Should they give it a try if they've never tried it?
So this is one where, look, you're not going to play very much of it. Don't pay for it. Don't get it on emulator. Yeah, because it's a cool game. It is a cool game. If you like a challenge and you like console. The difference is I don't think as much as I think Battletoads is harder. I really do.
Yes.
I think
Battletoads is more straightforward. You at least know what you're supposed to be doing. You just have to keep training yourself to do it more accurately. Yeah. Whereas this is more like a lot of time figuring out what to do. And then once you figure out what to do, it takes a little bit less effort. But
I think that we're going to do 4 games in a row here that are really hard. Really, really hard. This is one that I think it's kind of cool to go see it. Give it a shot. If you like old gaming, if any of you who were like me, who had it as a kid, go back and play it again. But now use maps and you can actually beat the game. So actually you can't. Well, maybe you can. I can't.
Maybe.
But if you haven't, it's just kind of cool to see the game. This one's unique. Yeah. That's kind of how I go with it.
Yeah, I agree. It's the sort of thing where if you are curious about it, and you want to give it a try, give it a solid college try, see how far you can get, and then let us know.
Yeah.
Speaking about letting us know, we've got to take a quick break, but we'll be back with some more of your comments. We're going to respond to all those. So don't go anywhere. We will be right back. All right, we're back. And before we get to the comments, if you like our voices and you want to check out the other stuff we do and you're into lore, then check out John's shows, the 40K Lorecast and the History of 40K, or check out my shows, the Fallout Lorecast, the Elder Scrolls Lorecast, and the Lord of the Rings Lorecast. But John, we're getting some great comments from everybody. Thank you. Thank you so much for commenting. We've got one from Big Sippin' from the Super Mario Brothers episode. Please do a Star Fox series episode. I consider it to be the underdog series in Nintendo's lineup. A couple of weird sequels that have interesting development history.
Yes, I agree with that. So the first Star Fox, I remember, was kind of mind blowing. I remember it was like, wow, this is really cool.
Yeah,
really, really cool. And then you got Star Fox 2. We didn't get until 2016 when
I don't even remember. I don't think I ever played it
because I just happened to have it in the other room. So when they made the Nintendo Classic, then they made the Super Nintendo Classic. On the Super Nintendo Classic was Star Fox 2. If I remember correctly, I don't believe.
Oh, that sounds familiar.
Released.
Yeah.
So we had this. It's a weird thing to go back to. Then you got Star Fox 64, which was one of the better N64 games, if I'm being honest. And then the game just kept getting weirder and weirder from there. So it would be fun to do a Star Fox episode, then talk about some of what angles they went with after the fact. I guess we'll see. We'll have to get through the hard games first, but we'll figure it out after that. Sagoth Gallant from the Monkey Island episode says, really? Walk through the gates of hell? Fine, roll. I will roll through the gates of hell. I love Murray so much. I knew exactly what this line was from. Murray, because Murray has to walk through the gates of hell, but Murray's just a skull. So Guybrush turns to him and says, fine, you can roll. You just go ahead and roll through the gates of hell. Oh, Murray.
Yep. Really all right. Super Mario Brothers. Finn says Super Mario Sunshine. We keep getting requests for Super Mario Sunshine.
I really don't want to play this game, but we're going to have to do it. Yeah.
Oh, maybe we'll come back around to Mario at some point.
Yeah.
Colored Plants from Super Mario episode says, really love this show. Somehow can't get enough of John's voice. He sounds like my lawyer.
Oh, God.
wanted to, that seems a weird contradiction, but okay. Wanted to +1 the one who recommended Faxanadu. That game is awesome. A few more worth your time checking out on the NES. Hydelide?
Whoa.
Very similar to Xanadu. It seems to be a bit ahead of its time, precursor of Zelda. I remember the name. I don't think I ever played this one. Chrysalis, kind of closer to original Wise. I've never known how to pronounce that correctly. Because it was always a game name that I read. Wise? Something like that. But had more of a story to it and was just fun to play. Iron Sword, Wizards and Warriors 2, challenging yet fun.
That one I remember. I remember Iron Sword. The other one, Chrysalis, I remember playing.
I think I played Chrysalis. Might have rented it.
I remember very well because this would have been. I was very into D&D in the 80s. I was lucky. I got introduced very young. It was at a summer camp of all places, and that's when I really got into D&D hard. So anything D&D, I was playing.
I don't know if I played Iron Sword or Hydelide. I'll have to look them up. Maybe it'll. Again, this has been decades, so these will come back if I'm familiar with them. Peter says on the Super Mario Brothers episode, second week of asking for the Oregon Trail.
He actually wrote Oregon Trail.
Oregon Trail. There is a game called Oregon Trail, which is an indie game that's a playoff of Oregon Trail, but it's about zombies.
That could be interesting. Yeah,
that exists.
The truth is, Peter, to your defense, we will do Oregon Trail at some point. It fell outside of our original plan because it came out in the 70s. But it's just too iconic not to.
Yeah. Maybe we'll do a bunch of little tiny, quick hit games.
What could be fun, actually, would be to do not just Oregon Trail, because the original Oregon Trail actually it's okay, but potentially do Oregon Trail and then all the remakes of it.
Updates,
it has a lot of remakes covered more from that standpoint. Because original Oregon Trail is like 1976. I wasn't alive.
Yeah. It's old. It's like single color screen stuff.
Yeah. It's pretty brutal.
Yeah. I'm going to pronounce this correctly. I'm not Alex. I did this last time. I'm not Alex, 17. I always look at that and I'm like, I see the IMN and I'm like, no words have IMN in that order. That's weird. I'm not Alex is back. Hey, not Alex. Curse of Monkey Island says, very happy to hear Dragon Warrior might be played at some point. And I absolutely love Diablo, but totally can't blame you for not liking it. LOL. But I think at some point you guys just might have to do it so I can hear the pain in John's voice while playing it.
God, Diablo.
You guys are awesome, by the way, and I'm a huge fan of 40K Lorecast, and I'm planning to watch some more of the Robots Radiocast as well.
That's great.
Awesome. Well, thanks.
Dragon Warrior is definitely going to happen. Dragon Warrior is another game I owned as a kid. I never beat. I kind of want to get back into it and give it another shot at it.
I never beat it either, yeah.
Diablo would be fun to go back and do again. My issue with Diablo was purely it's just not my style, but it's a very good game. You won't actually hear pain in my voice playing Diablo. I'll just be like, oh yeah, it was a good game.
it built the ARPG genre.
Oh, I have nothing but
from the
respect
ground
for
up.
it. Yeah, nothing but respect for Diablo.
Yeah. A Gerb Camp on the Myst episode says, Myst for me was the game for me. We got it for free with our disk drive for my dad's work PC.
Of course, yeah.
This sounds like a poem. Everything rhymes so far.
Yeah.
I loved it. It did not require quick reactions. That starting music that gives you PTSD brings me back to a childhood where I tried to map out and explore every age, understand the brothers, and imagine the worlds beyond what we explore. I learned English to read the journals in the burned library.
Okay, fair enough. All right.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah.
This game got me to learn a new language when I was 9 years old. It's the most formative game of my youth. Well,
right.
You know what? We talk about how enjoying things is subjective, and that's awesome.
Yeah.
Good for you.
I will be candid. That's a very good counterpoint.
Yeah.
Point, counterpoint. All right, fair enough. I don't have a game that made me learn another language. So if Myst did that for you, and yeah, I do like that. Yeah, of course, it came with your dad's work PC because disk drive, because that's how the game came out. I still hated it though.
Yeah, but good for you. Good for you. We're all about loving what you love.
No, that's impressive. That's a really fair point. To learn another language to play Myst.
Yes.
Yeah,
amazing. Amazing.
All
right. One more. The Zelda 2 episode, Dusty Shelf says, I'm still confused why it's The Legend of Zelda when it's Link who does everything.
Yeah, there's a whole plot around this, but in effect, I agree wherever, because I think, what percent of us do you think the character was named Zelda?
Oh, I'm sure there's a lot of people.
I was one of them.
Oh, were you?
As a child? Yeah. Now I know, obviously, you get older, but it was probably late 90s when I realized, oh, his name's Link?
Huh.
Oh, yeah.
I think...
Because I didn't care. I was just playing the game.
I'm trying to remember. You know what it was? At the time, I had Nintendo Power. I bet I read the articles in Nintendo Power, and I think I knew from that he was Link and Zelda was the princess. And so I even named my character Link on like a second playthrough, which I think unlocks something like the second world from the beginning, or I don't remember.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's one of those things where I just played the game. I didn't I didn't read the dialogue half the time. I mean, again, ADHD, guys. So I wasn't paying that much attention. I just want to hit things with my sword. And all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, your name's Link? Huh. Who knew?
I think we all had that that realization at some point. But I think it was from reading Nintendo Power for me. That's my guess. But it's hard to remember. I don't know. But thank you for all your comments. We really do appreciate it. And we love the little community that's building up around this. And some of you as return commenters and how all that goes. So thanks for being here. But what are we doing next, John? Where are we going?
All right. So that was a painful playthrough. But that's just the start of the PTSD train. So toot. Here we go.
This is the PTSD train month.
Yeah. The next stop may be the hardest game of all time for no good reason. That's the caveat. It's for no good reason. Mm-hmm. The Lion King for Sega Genesis. Why? Why would a game with 3 buttons be this hard? No one knows. But I can tell you from the bottom of my heart, that monkey puzzle.
And with that, we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Retro Recall.
Robots Radio. Games. Lore. Stories. Community. Just press play.